I've been divorced about 9 years. So I was living on my own. I was living with my girlfriend at the time. So after I got divorced, it was just me and the two boys that I've got as my kids, and we had a fantastic time. And then I moved, and my current girlfriend moved in. We moved around a bit, but Jake and Morgan were at that age where they didn't want to spend any time with me, which I understand. When I was their age, I didn't want to spend time with my parents, so they were pretty much kept themselves to themselves. Being a parent, you see them grow up from year dot to however old they are, and that's a rewarding experience in itself. We're both at school, we both studied for their GCSEs, and we're doing quite well. So can't say hand on heart I had the closest relationship in the world, because they were more interested in spending time with their friends than with their dad. So I get that, I was the same. So life was pretty good. Yeah, I can't complain about life. Morgan was a delightful boy when he grew up. He was full of energy. He was one of those kids that when he sort of sat on the sofa, he'd have one foot on the floor and the other leg was lying down. He was forever cuddling. He was just a bundle of energy. He had dreadlocks, so they all sort of flopped around his face, so it gave him a sort of cute, innocent look. But as he got older, he lost that sort of energy, became more studious, which was fine. But I'll always remember the boy that was curious, inquisitive, and was always cuddly and had a smile on his face. No, not from my point of view. I don't remember any clues. I can say that with hindsight, you might look back and think, I wonder if, and was that an indication? But I don't know. I'm guessing. It's all speculation. There was no note, there was no indication that was anything that he was thinking of. Any parent will think about their kids, well, they should tidy their room more, they should study more, they should go to bed on time, they should eat better, all those sorts of things. I'm pretty sure all parents do that. And he was no different. So the thought that he was just a normal kid who then killed himself makes no sense. Yeah, you come to a conclusion, you realise at some point that you're never going to find the definitive answer. The only person that can tell me isn't here. So I have to guess, I have to speculate, and I think there are a number of things that I might point it to that would be, perhaps the fact I got divorced was part of his decision. Perhaps the fact that I'd sold the family house and we had to move. Perhaps the fact that I sold my business, started my own business, and had less time for family life. Maybe that was contributory. He was due to go back to school the next day. So maybe he didn't want to go back to school. He was due to study his exams the following week. Maybe he didn't want to do his exams. Maybe, you know what I mean? It goes round and round and round. They're just maybes. That's just it. That's just the way it is. It's never going to be the same again. Everything shifts. So your whole belief system, I was 46 at the time, and was quite comfortable in my life. I knew what I was like, I knew what my life existed, and all of a sudden this tragedy happens, and then everything that you ever believed has shifted 5 degrees to the right. So that the way you meet new people is different, the way you communicate with people is different, your sleeping patterns change, your anxiety changes, your fear changes because of your other son. Not only that, it then affects your partner, because your partner's then got to understand how I've changed and then change herself to adapt to the changes that I've made. And it's even worse for her sometimes, because what do you think the first question is when she meets someone their first question is, how's Stuart? Well, what about her? She's the one who's has to live with me, and yet she's probably got a more challenging journey, because I'm the one with the grief that's fairly simple to understand. Her grief is because not only have she lost her stepson, but she's lost the guy that I used to be. So actually everything's changed. The relationship I have with my son is now different, because it's not so much that I'm concerned about him, obviously I am, but I'm now hypersensitive. So I'm on edge. So even when I meet people, when I talk to people, I'm starting to think, well, do they know? Do they not know? Are they going to ask? Are they not going to ask? Do I tell them? Do I not tell them? And then if they're not saying anything, do I say something? It goes round and round, round like that. Socialising is difficult because I can engage, I can chat, I can have a good time, I can enjoy myself, but the longer that evening goes on and the more trivial the conversation becomes, people start talking about stupid things that are of no importance whatsoever, I switch off. I've lost interest. I don't want to hear your nonsense about your shoes don't fit, or do you know what I mean, or you overslept the other day, because at the bigger picture of things, what I've had to contend with will probably 99 times out of 100 outstrip anything that's going on in your life. That doesn't mean it's not important to you, but in my world it's insignificant. So that makes me almost, people might start thinking that I'm quite cold then, because I'm actually not as interested in other people as I was before. So, like I said, everything that you believe shifts 5 degrees to the right, and then you have to learn with the new me. Am I a different person? There's no question about it. I still don't sleep very well, but that's just the way it is. So I have to accept that this person now is different to the one that was before, and so it should be. That's the way it has to be, isn't it? Since Morgan died, I could probably count on 2 hands how many people have actually come up and talked to me about it. Even though I'm chairman of a charity, even though we've done event after event after event after event, even though lots of people have come forward to want to help, very few people actually approach me and want to talk about suicide because the subject is so shocking. And even that is annoying. It's not annoying so much, but they want to protect my feelings. They sort of think, well, I don't want to upset him. I don't want to remind him. Well, good luck. I mean, I'm not going to forget it, am I? You know, that's something that lives with me every single day. So you're not going to make anything worse. There is actually nothing you could say to make my life any worse than what I've already been through. So even if I was in debt, if I broke a leg, it still doesn't contend with what I've had to go through. And so people, I think, are still nervous about it because it's so shocking. If they can't talk to me about it, I'm probably pretty sure they won't talk about it with anyone else. Certainly not the people that they're worried about. So I am concerned that parents, specifically, probably won't talk to their kids about it. They probably don't even think it's a problem. And I do wonder that in my case, I was probably the same as everyone else that thought if someone else had killed themselves, I thought, well, you know, that's never going to happen to me. The reason why that happened, there is a reason for it, and obviously I would never be party to that reason, so that would never happen to me. Well, how wrong was I? And I think therefore a lot of people will still assume that it's not going to happen to them, that it doesn't affect them. But as you know, now it's now such a wide topic now that so many people are aware of. When are we going to stop avoiding the subject? When are we actually ask people and talk to them about it? And I have to think though, at the end of the day, whichever way I look at it, if someone had said something to Morgan, if I had known that suicide was the biggest killer of men under 45, if I'd known that 1,500 young people a year kill themselves, if I was educated, if I was aware of these stats, and if I was given some sort of, help and training, support, then maybe I'd have asked him that question, and maybe he'd be here today. So, do I see a change? I'm not convinced yet. There is a big shift in mental health these days, so I do see and read more about it, but suicide? I'm not sure. We'll see.